everyone. Dr. Francis wishing you happy holidays. When you're looking for that perfect present to gift to those you love, look no further than Walmart. This year, joyfully and giftfully with the diversity of products created by Black entrepreneurs. This message is sponsored by Walmart.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Francis Richards.
Innovative Thinkers episode number 297. Innovative Thinkers. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black entrepreneur experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Francis Richards. It's easy to get sucked into the dark side of entrepreneurship and lose sight of the very reason why you became an entrepreneur in the first place. Author Done by Noon, How to Achieve More by Noon Than Any Other Entrepreneur in a Full Day, author Dave Ruel. Thank you.
Hi, Frances. Good morning.
How are you, Dave?
Doing fantastic. It's warming up here in Canada on the East Coast, so we're waiting for the summer impatiently.
Well, I tell you, here in Vegas, it is already scorching. So we are full bloom into the season. You know, I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your book?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as I said, French-Canadian guy, you can hear by the accent, French, my first language. Born and raised on the East Coast of Canada. I've been an online entrepreneur for about, I would say, 14 years now, full-time for 12. And I launched multiple business, mostly in the health and fitness field. We were in digital. So we had, first thing that we were in infopreneurship. So selling ebooks in the health and fitness field, mostly nutrition. Then we moved on to publishing, actually, fitness coaches and experts and audiences. So we were taking care of their whole infrastructure through our agency. And then I actually invested in a supplements company that is now called Bioptimizers. And we did a nice turnaround, sold the company in 2016. And then from there, I had the opportunity to start coaching entrepreneurs who really wanted to kind of do what I did like early on, like in 2010, around that time, like having an online business was not like the normal thing, right? It was more of it was not the common thing. So people wanted to know how I was doing it. And little by little, I started coaching people. And when I sold my company in 2016, I had the opportunity to coach a group of people. And what they wanted really is to start an online business because they all wanted more freedom. And the thing that I realized is that, these entrepreneurs didn't need more strategy. They didn't need more tactics to grow their businesses. What they really needed was structure. They needed systems in order to get that freedom. And that freedom was not going to come from earning more money or, being more, quote unquote, successful. It was like really getting the right structure. And it's not native I realized that it's not native for most entrepreneurs. And the reality is that I had set up in my life and my business, systems for myself in order to do that. I I burned out like most entrepreneurs did at some point in their life. And, I was lucky enough that I come from the fitness background, right? So maybe a little before I started my business, I was a competitive athlete. So I was competing in bodybuilding and all the structure, the discipline, the consistency that I had gained, let's say, from bodybuilding. I realized that when I burned out, well, how come I'm doing all this in my business where I was so structured in my fitness life, and how come I'm not doing that in my business, right? Like as an entrepreneur. And I quickly realized it was kind of the same game to play. So I got inspired by some of the sports performance principles that I was using previously using in my life and applied it to entrepreneurship. And Effic was born this way. And I realized that actually the demand was actually a lot higher because entrepreneurs needed that. And we've been running, Effic since 2017. So the company was officially born in 2017. And we've been helping thousands of entrepreneurs now through, books, courses, the Effic planner that we have. And also we're now having we have a certification. So we certify business coaches and trainers on our methodology so they can help, entrepreneurs themselves. So, yeah, that's pretty much like where I'm at right now and where the whole thing came from.
Talk about Done by Noon.
Interesting title, right?
Yeah.
It's it's okay. Like the thing that I realized, so Done by Noon, I'm gonna give you the little like story of the name Done by Noon. Is when I started coaching my structure, it wasn't called Done by Noon, and I realized that what people really wanted was either three, like I talked about freedom, but there's three parts to that freedom. So freedom of time, so they wanted to to do things when they wanted. They wanted to have freedom of creation. So they wanted to work on what they wanted, but they also wanted financial freedom, right? And the key was like comparing what they wanted to their schedule. I was like, it doesn't work. So the question that I asked my students all the time was, if I told you needed to be done by noon every day, how would you structure your day, right? Knowing that waking up at 2 a.m. is not the answer. Like you can't do that. So how would you address your schedule if you only had a limited amount of time available? So obviously you would need to look into what you're doing, and you would need to start prioritizing, your tasks according to, the impact that they would have on your business, right? So things would have to stay, but things would have to go. However, in business is that what you're doing, you're not doing that for nothing. That means that these tasks need to be, attended, and they need to be performed. The thing is that how will you go about that? So first of all, how would you start delegate, outsource or even automate properly in order to offload all these tasks, and understand that there are things that you do better than most people and that you need to take, right? So Done by Noon was born this way. It's like, because every time I talked about it, I was like, people were like, oh, Done by Noon, that would be so nice, right? But I was like, it's not a fact of being done by noon. It's that you're really attracted by the name because it appeals to what you don't have right now, which is freedom, and especially freedom of time. And because you don't have freedom of time, you don't have freedom of creation. And because you're not creating things that matter in your business, more than often, you're not maximizing or even, optimizing your financial freedom, right? And sometimes it's the opposite that happens. You keep doing things that don't really matter in your business, and you start, your revenues flatline or, decrease. It's bringing that awareness and appealing to really what entrepreneurs want in the first place. I believe that entrepreneurs start in business for that freedom. That's their main driver when they start a business, most of them. And the thing is that they lose sight of why they started a business in the first place. So it makes you reconnect to something that you initially wanted, that kind of you drifted away from in the process.
Dave, talk about your most inspiring story around helping entrepreneurs. Is there one that really stands out?
There's quite a bit. I would say, it's not about the financial. We had some people, coming back to us saying like, because of implementing your system, we made, way more money. And because we were able to finally focus on what needed to focus, I was able to reclaim time. I think that the best testimonials that I get are the ones that are connected to the true ambitions of these people, and also understanding that they were like they had lost or they had a lot to lose. I see that. So I think, I don't want to name names. There was one that we got recently about someone who emailed me and she was like, you saved my marriage. That's what she said. And you saved my marriage. And she said, you saved my kids probably a lot of pain down the road. And I'm a dad. I have two young girls, 3 and 7. And, I'm happily married to my wife, Corinne. And it's something that I value a lot. I value family. I value connection to my kids. And the thing is that it's easy to get sucked into a black hole of always working, of putting your business first, when what you really wanted from your business was to have it support a lifestyle that you really wanted. And that involved having a family, that involved, raising good kids, that having time to do things. And all of a sudden, because, entrepreneurship is hard. I mean, it's not an easy thing. It is hard. And, people want to sell you that entrepreneurship is easy and you just have to work smart. That's just not true. Like it is beyond that. And that whole notion of having work-life harmony, it's a dance, right? That it's not two competing forces. It is a competing force if you let it be. It is a competing force if you treat it as is. And it's easy for, business to be just a bad partner in your work-life harmony, right? Where the goal is really to create that dance between your personal life and your professional life. It's like the yin and the yang, right? It would never leave you. And when you picture a dance, it's like, professional dancers, it's a beautiful thing. You see professional dancers dancing and you're like, wow, how did they do that? How did they make it so fluid? And the truth is, at some point, one of the partners is taking the lead. And at some other time, the other partner is taking the lead. And they just know when. And it's just seamless. And it looks easy, right? And I was like, this is kind of the way you should look at entrepreneurship. So, back to this person, this is the kind of stuff that you're like, wow, okay, well, what you do just goes beyond, just the fact of helping entrepreneurs perform better, or I would say get more freedom. It's also about doing what's right and about working right and about enabling entrepreneurs to work right, for what they truly want. And yeah, that story really touched me. I mean, obviously, because of family and everything, but it was like, when you have entrepreneurs brag about, I earned more than six figures because I did this. It's like, yeah, that's great. But, having that woman send that was something.
There are so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Talk about a brand or a business that's dominating that you admire and why.
There are many great brands out there. What are brands that are actually, well, you know what? I think, I'm going to plug my former business, but I'm a big fan of what Bioptimizers does. So Bioptimizers is a supplements company. It's a natural supplements company. They work so their whole thing is human optimization, but through, great health, great digestion, great mental health, et cetera. And they have all kinds of supplements for that. And I bought into this company in 2014. So I was working with Matt, my publishing company, my agency was with Matt, who was the co-founder of Bioptimizers. And it was called Mazymes Inc. at the time. The company was getting older. It needed a refresh, a rebrand, and kind of new ways to promote what they were doing. So I bought it. And together, me, Matt, and Wade, the other partner, we really turned this business around. And the thing why I bought into the company is that we were very clear. And it was always like, I didn't buy into the company. I bought in, the products were great, but I bought into the mission of the founders. And Matt and Wade we're never going to be compromising quality for profit. Even that means we're going to raise our prices because our cost is high to create these products. We don't want to be like these companies who are just there to make money. We want to make money. We want to be profitable because the more, obviously, profitable we are, the more we can actually impact people. But it can never be at the expense of the customer's results. So for them, customers were like, number one, always like the quality needed to be A1. Everything needs to be A1 so that the customers can get exactly what they want. And it was like, this is such a great way to see things. In my opinion, it's a perfect example that, business can be a powerful vehicle for, positive impact. It's not just about, as I said, the money. It's not just about the product. It's about kind of the ripple effect that it's going to do for your people. So I really like what they do. I mean, I'm very involved in, for example, I just founded a nonprofit here in my area, and it's driven by entrepreneurship. So we actually create, so first of all, we educate entrepreneurs, so we help them become greater entrepreneurs through education, but also we create projects, sustainable projects, profitable projects where all the profits are redirected within the community. So we have a community fund, we have a foundation that takes care of creating new projects for the community, and the profits come back, to the community. So that feeling of ownership where, as I said, entrepreneurship, building businesses can be a great driver of change for communities. And I think over the past few years, I became very sensitive over, the social aspect of entrepreneurship. Like, that doesn't mean that you need to give your money away. And that's what people do is like, oh, I'm going to make a donation, but not care really. I'm going to make a donation to look good. And it's great. I think businesses should give money, but it goes beyond that. There's a way you can use entrepreneurship and business in order to make sustainable cultural improvements, and especially within communities. And yeah, I became very inspired by what's happening here on the East Coast on Fogo Island, for example, which is an island in Newfoundland. And they saved that whole community through that same type of structure. And I really got inspired by it. But my whole point here is that there's that strong social aspect to community, to entrepreneurship through community that can happen. And that really lights me up these days.
Speaking of change, what problem exists in the world today that you would like to change?
First of all, I would say, here's the thing. I live in a rural community here on the East Coast of Canada. We have our own set of challenges that we have because of the world is changing, and we don't have, let's say, where the industry was, a lot of people live here because of one or two industries that were generating most of the jobs, right? But as things change and the industries change, you see all these small towns, losing people, losing their youth because they're like, oh, there's no opportunity, where there's as many opportunities as they are. So obviously, as I said, I'm very I want communities to take their faith in their own hands in some ways and show the example. I think we live in a moment of turmoil. I mean, COVID raised a lot of issues. I mean, obviously, Francis, you saw that in the Black community with the Black Lives Matter movement. It exposed a lot of flaws you have within the communities. I think what it exposed to is that there's a lot of people who are vocal about problems, who will expose problems online, but not do anything really concretely, in the real world. They would look good online by, being social vigilantes. But I think what really matters is what you do in real life. The actions, the small actions. And I believe small actions compound. Instead of, it's great to expose things, I get it, but if it's not backed by true actions in order to bring change, things will not change. And whether it's bigger, society problem, violence and, everything that we see right now, and you guys in the US see quite a bit, it's not going to go away overnight. The change needs to come through small actions that you're going to embody. And this will compound over time. People will see you do things and they will start doing the same thing. And I think collectively, as a whole, if we do that, this is how we can bring change, faster. So that's my view on it. Obviously, there's multiple ways to see it, but, I'm a big advocate of doing small things right. And whether it's with entrepreneurship or socially. So, I think do small things right. Do the small things that matter. We had a conversation with one of my friends from Toronto, and we were on my podcast, and that's what we were saying. It's do the small things that matter. Don't start to do things that are just too big and you're not going to be able to sustain it. Do the small things that matter, and these things compound.
Happy holidays to my fans, friends, and family of entrepreneurs. When you're looking for that just perfect present to gift to those you love, here's a piece of advice. Look no further than Walmart. Walmart has a huge selection of items ranging from toys to electronics to tech. But what's even more impressive to me, Walmart has a huge selection of items created by people just like you, from makeup to fashion to food and beyond. Walmart has that perfect gift just waiting for your special someone. Give the children in your life a doll that looks just like them. Have a teen who's all about hair and makeup. Create a beauty basket of Black products that are designed for her needs. Your best friend is looking to redo, updo, do new her space. Check out all the home decor Walmart has to offer from Black designers. This year, joyfully and giftfully with a diversity of products created by Black entrepreneurs. I'm Dr. Frances Richards, wishing you happy holidays. This message is sponsored by Walmart. What is your zone of genius?
Oh my God. I thought long and hard about it this year. I think we all did with COVID, where we had to kind of look, take a step back and look at what we were doing. And I realized that, my true superpower or my true zone of power comes from coordinating things. So in some ways that, I kind of stumble onto public speaking, for example. So I think, God, the universe, life, whatever you want to call it, gave me that gift. And I never realized that it was a gift until like people were like, no, that's really a gift. Like not a whole lot of people can do that. It's like, okay, all right. So I started using that quite a bit more, So I love being out there, sharing a message and coordinating, what it could look like so I can enable, other people to do more, to evolve. And that's kind of, when I talked about doing the small things right, what if it can help more people do that? And then these people can now do that on their own as well. That's why we switched our model. For example, at Effic, we were doing coaching. So we had a coaching program where we were coaching entrepreneurs to become more productive and organize their whole life and business. However, realized that we're going to be limited to the number of people that we can take. That's why we switched totally. I stopped coaching and I realized that the best way to do that is by working with coaches who actually want to do the same thing. Now I can enable, coaches to actually do what I do. And now I can have a better impact overall. So by enabling these people. So I never realized like kind of it was a superpower, but I started looking back this year and seeing the patterns on how I operate things. And for me, sustainability is one of my core values. Like I want to build things that last. And I realized that I was kind of always doing that, building something and coordinating something that can kind of live without me. And I call that a self-driving business, but it's beyond business. I think you need to create something that has a life of its own. And then even when you're not there, the effect, can still do that. So yeah, did that with Effic. I'm doing that right now, with the social structure that we set up here. And yeah, that's kind of where I really, really shine. That's my thing. And I think I want to keep doing that for the rest of my life, Yeah, unapologetically, it's yeah. I just love that speaking and coordinating.
What is your weakness as an entrepreneur?
Many weaknesses. I wish I was a greater. So I wrote a book, but believe it or not, it's actually not a strength at all. It's actually a struggle. Like it wasn't easy for me to write a book. I understood that it was needed because that's the way, like that's probably one of the best ways to communicate knowledge. But writing for me has been one of the things that, hasn't been in my struggle. So copywriting is actually a struggle. Like most entrepreneurs, I struggle with too many ideas. So as that's the thing with creativity. And I talk about creative freedom, but there's the part of, I think entrepreneurs want to create. I think I see them as practical artists, that can create solutions to the world that are practical, right? And the thing is that most entrepreneurs can relate to that. You will see too many opportunities in too many places. And that can become distracting where, yes, you can fall I don't like the word victim, but you can fall for the entrepreneurial culture of doing more and getting lost. But you can also, sabotage your own creativity by actually thinking that you can do it all and being too creative on things that don't matter. You know what I mean? So having that creative focus is very important. And I struggle with that. I think it's going to be a lifelong struggle, but I'm getting better because of the systems that I'm putting in place. And, I have some pretty strong one. I'm doing pretty good, but I'm always, I always try to become better at that. So I think most entrepreneurs will relate to that, is focusing that creativity. I'm not an ADHD guy. I think we all are, as entrepreneurs a little bit. But I'm not, diagnosed ADHD guy or anything like that. But, a lot of entrepreneurs are. And the thing is that you have to learn how to harness that, but it will be a lifelong struggle.
Talk about self-care. What does self-care look like for Dave?
There's 5 points to my self-care, and those are the same points that I made a priority after I burnt out. It was like, you know what, like self-care needs to be number one. I think, a business will always be as big as its leader, or impactful of its leader. And I made self-care a priority after that. So there's 5 points really that I follow daily. So number one is proper hydration. So it sounds simple and stupid, but most of us walk around dehydrated like every day. We are water. I mean, you can go without food for quite a bit, quite some time. You cannot go without water for a lot of time. So water is the building foundation for everything. And that's also the foundation for how good, you will operate mentally, but what's between your two ears. So there's a simple trick for that I use every day. I wake up, I drink a half liter of water, big tall glass of water, and then I fill up a 2-liter bottle of water for my day. And that being said, like sometimes I even drink more. I work out through the day, so I drink more water. And so water is number one. I make sure I'm properly hydrated. And I see you drinking right now. There you go. Self-care number one for you, Francis. So hydration number one. Second, as I said, exercise. I work out. I always try to find, some kind of ways to move every day. I work out 5 times a week. I used to do classic bodybuilding, exercises. Now I'm more into movement. I work out of a CrossFit gym actually, and I work out with a training partner, and we do mostly like kind of a hybrid movement. So I'm not doing fully CrossFit, but more like hybrid movement. And I just stay active every day. And even when I can't work out, I never work out on weekends, but I stay active. So I would say the main thing, sweat every day. Dedicate at least 15, 20 minutes to some kind of activity. And, around here, obviously my daughters make sure I keep busy. My wife does too, but, we garden, we do all kinds of stuff around the house. I mean, we go to the swimming pool. There's so many things that we do, but we try, again, stay active. So activity, exercising daily. Gratitude is another one. So, it's good to talk about self-care from, a physical standpoint, but I think, mental health is equally important. Your mental fitness is important. And what I realized is that gratitude is the most underrated exercise or thing that you can do for your mental health. I always say, if you feel depressed or if you feel anxious, don't go for medication, go for gratitude. And the thing is that it's hard for most entrepreneurs to say, oh, I'm going to sit down, be consistent writing long gratitudes daily. And what we integrated, for example, in the Effic planner is one sentence called the reconnection phrase. And we ask you 2 things daily. So we ask you to fill today, I'm grateful for, fill in the blanks. So you write down one thing you're grateful for. And second is, and I keep in mind that. So reconnecting with things that you are important for you, whether it's your values, goals, you name it, right? So 2 things, being grateful for the things that you have right now. And it could be something like super. It's funny, the more you do that exercise, the more you find things surprisingly interesting. It was for example, the water. It hit me, it often hits me, but it did again. This was I'm just opening the tap and I have clean drinking water coming out of a faucet that I can drink. I mean, how many people in the world don't have that? I'm so grateful that I have access to that. And yet, most North Americans will totally take that for granted. Yeah, it's normal stuff. What are you talking about? Yeah, but it's still pretty insane. It's pretty crazy. If you have 2 hands, be grateful for these 2 hands. Imagine how more difficult it is without 2 hands, right? The fact that we, have these fingers to do things and on command that, our brains can have them move. It's stupid little stuff. But trust me, when you start training yourself on doing that, what I said, doing the small things right, when you do that, you will trust me, you will see the world differently. And for me, I think this is just the base of mental health. If hydration is the base of physical health, I think gratitude is the base of mental health. So in self-care, I talk about in the planner, we have a little icon for meditation, but meditation can come in multiple forms. I'm not a meditation guy. I'm not sitting for 15 minutes, humming. And the thing is that take time for yourself. So I realize when I don't do it, I'm not as good or as sharp, or even with my kids or my wife, I need some time by myself daily, some kind of solitude, some kind of time to regroup with myself. And I try to have at least 15 minutes daily where I can just sit there, be there with my own thoughts. I just breathing, things like that. And it helps quite a bit, with your stress level and your physical and mental health overall. And the last point is proper nutrition. For me right now, heading into my 40s, digestion is one, issue that I didn't have early on in life. And now I'm, spending a lot more time, focusing on that and understanding like the types of food that I react well to, the types of food. And it's a constant thing to monitor. I experiment with like fasting, things like that. But the key here for me is like, how can I eat right for me right now to be sustainable? That's always my thing. So these are my steps for self-care.
What can we do right now to support your business, Dave?
Well, it's more what can we do right now to support, your business. If you feel right now that you are overwhelmed, if you feel right now that you are not aligned with what you should be doing and that you are, your workload is out of control, you have neglected your self-care and you feel like there's fires popping up everywhere in your life and in your business, it might be a good time to read Done by Noon. So you can come and we're actually we still have some free copies we're handing away right now. So we're giving away free copies and you just pay for shipping. So you just pay for the supported shipping, the shipping that's in North America, and we'll send you the book for free. And, please read it. And, I'm pretty sure you're going to find things that might or might not change your life. But, though the people that have implemented, the systems and what we share in this book, it's pretty much my brain and my systems and my view on entrepreneurial productivity and performance that, on paper. So yes, that's pretty much like what we can do for you with that. And yeah. And then obviously if you want to support more coaches or you're a coach or you're a consultant, we do have the certification as well. So we're looking to impact more people through that. We have Effic certified coaches on 3 continents now. So we're looking to expand. We just got our first ones in the Caribbean. So we're pretty happy about that too. And we're expanding. So it's pretty nice to know that we're going to be able to impact entrepreneurs in multiple parts of the world.
And congratulations on that. And if someone is listening and they're like, I want a copy of the book, how do they get a copy?
So you go to donebynoonbook.com. That's right. I didn't even mention it. Donebynoonbook.com. You can check our website too, effic.co, EFFIC.co. There's links there to, different things that we're doing and to the book as well, the planner too. And if you want to follow me on Instagram at daveruel.com, DAVERUEL, and at Dave Ruel. So yeah, you can follow me. This is where I share most of my personal stuff and what's going on in my life. And if you want to connect, I'm always replying to messages. So if you want to say hi, please do.
Dave, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
That's a good question. I always ask myself so many questions, like always. And I always think about my things. The thing is that I would say I would need to ask myself is that why did you start your business in the first place? And that's funny because that's the question I asked, early in the book, right? It's like, remind yourself why you started business in the first place. And as I said, it's why, I wrote the book is that it is so, so, so easy to drift away from the initial intent. And it's so, so, so easy to look at other people and see what they're doing and thinking that you should be doing that as well, right? And it's just not right. Like I would say, ambition appropriation, it's an epidemic. You look at what's on Instagram, you're like, oh, this is the way I do it. No, do yourself. Like do what feels right for you. And you know what? Things will change. Things will evolve. Things will not going to be the same always. You might want something now and you might change 10 years down the road. You know what I mean? I think what doesn't change really are your core values. And I think you should stay always true to your core values. And you're going to see, I talked about turning back and looking at patterns that you had in your life, that will identify, that quite a bit, and, as I said, for me, sustainability are big, big, big pillars in my life where everything I do, I want to do it. I want to build something that's going to stand the test of time and trends. And so that's what I did for myself. So I would ask you, the same thing. Why did you start a business in the first place? And try to reconnect with that.
I'm Dr. Francis. Frances wishing you happy holidays. When you're looking for that perfect present to gift to those you love, look no further than Walmart. This year, joyfully and giftfully with the diversity of products created by Black entrepreneurs. This message is sponsored by Walmart. We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Yes.
Your first job.
I was distributing flyers for a local supermarket in my hometown, and I was getting paid $20 a weekend to do that. I was doing that on my bike, and I realized that it was hard to earn money. So that was kind of my first introduction to what it takes to earn money.
Your favorite color?
Black.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
First on top of my head would be cheeseburgers, because that's what I love. I'm a cheeseburger aficionado. I rate them. I rank them. That's not the thing that I would eat every single week, no matter what. That's a great question. Eggs.
Eggs. The last movie you saw?
I don't even. I didn't watch a movie. The last thing that I watched was Westworld. So I watched the full 3 seasons in a few weeks, and I loved it.
You relax doing what?
I smoke cigar in solitude.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
I'm a big fan. So artists, gosh, I don't know. I can't say I have one that's my most favorite. I love Gord Downie as an artist and as a humanitarian guy, singer of the Tragically Hip, who passed away. Hip hop. I was a major fan in my teen years of the Wu-Tang Clan. I still love their music. I still listen to it. And but it's just amazing. I'm a terrible rapper. I'm a typical white guy. So
your favorite dance song?
I like to move it.
Your favorite month?
Hard to say. If I had to pinpoint a month, I'm not sure what I would say. I love September because I feel like the weather is still nice. It's not too hot. And I feel like there's that post-summer renewal in some ways, like there. I like that. I love that it's the start as well of a new season with Paul. I'm a big fan of seasons. Like for me, I love the spring and I love the fall. Like that, these are like the seasons where I'm the most, connected in some ways. But if I had to pick a month, I would say September.
Workout or hit the couch?
I would say workout, but both. I think both have value. Obviously it depends on if I have done my workout or if I have exercised, I don't feel guilty about hitting the couch. But, I think both need to be active. So activity is important, exercise is important, but recovery is also important. But I would say for longevity, exercise.
Dave, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, why don't you share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and do business with you? And feel free to leave all your social media handles.
Thanks. First of all, Frances, thanks so much. It was great. I loved it. So as I said, you can check our main website, effic.co, effic.co. This is where you're going to have the links for the Done by Noon book, the planners, everything, the certification as well. And if you want to connect with me on a personal level, at daveruel.com, DAVERUEL, on social media. Instagram is mostly where I'm the most active, and Facebook as well. Yeah, that would be, I think, the best way for you to connect with me.
Thank you. And that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.